Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about Einstein as philosopher. We are going to look at his ideas and opinions with regards to human existence, society, and human creativity. Everyone knows Einstein as a physicist. His famous theory of relativity shook the world in the beginning of the 20th century. But rarely do we care to think about how he looked at the world when he was not involved in scientific inquiry. What were his opinions regarding human freedom, politics, and religion? These opinions do not elevate or degrade what he achieved in the scientific field, but they give us a peek into a genius's mind to whom anyone would be interested to ask the fundamental questions of life. Fortunately, Einstein, because of his fame, was mostly surrounded by interviewers all the time and asked him the questions that interest a philosopher. These ideas and opinions have been saved and published. The first and the most obvious question we would like to ask him is, what is the meaning of life? So let's listen to Einstein's answer. What is the meaning of life or of organic life altogether? To answer this question at all implies a religion. Is there any sense then, you ask, in putting it? I answer, the man who regards his own life and that of his fellow creatures as meaningless is not merely unfortunate, but almost disqualified for life. Einstein cares about these questions religiously, but he does not answer this question in a straightforward way. He considers this to be a relative question, just like everyone has a different interpretation of their religious duties. In the same way, everyone has different ideals, making it really difficult to give an objective answer to this question. The answer to the question, what is the meaning of life, is always different for everyone. Therefore, it does not make any sense to answer the question and consider it as an objective reality. Because if someone considers his or her answer to be true objectively, then it will be considered an imposition that everyone must adopt, pretty much like the universal truth of physical laws. Nonetheless, Einstein does not consider this question to be absurd, because he does point out that what cannot be an answer to this question. He believes that if someone considers life to be meaningless, then he or she is disqualified for life. One is reminded here of Schopenhauer's famous quote that those who do not think about the problem of existence are mentally disabled. Einstein also wrote an essay entitled The World as I See It, in which he expands on this question and says, what an extraordinary situation is that of us mortals. Each of us is here for a brief sojourn. For what purpose he knows not, though he sometimes thinks he feels it. But from the point of view of daily life, without going deeper, we exist for our fellow men. In the first place, for those on whose smiles and welfare all our happiness depends, and next, for all those unknown to us personally, with whose destinies we are bound up by the tie of sympathy. He believes that the ultimate purpose of life is to exist for a cause that contributes to human solidarity. The meaning of life is intricately bound with the feeling and intensity of sympathy one feels for fellow beings. If the meaning of life does not consider the moral duty of making others' lives better, then it is a hollow meaning. Once we add this assertion with the negative answer given earlier, we can divine that for Einstein, life is fundamentally about being morally concerned about others. There has to be sympathy for there to be meaning. There has to be a moral cause for there to be a justified answer to the question, why am I alive? He explains that the sympathy is usually felt when we feel the burden of life pressing on our shoulders in the time of difficulty, and we are looking for a fellow being that has a word of consolation to say to us, as he explains further. Everybody acts not only under external compulsion, but also in accordance with inner necessity. Schopenhauer is saying that a man can do as he will, but not will as he will. Has been an inspiration to me since my youth up, and a continual consolation and unfailing wellspring of patience in the face of the hardships of life, my own and others. Both motivators, external and internal, require understanding on the observer's part. We are hasty in making judgments about others' actions and sometimes even consider someone going through as deserved. It is a wrong attitude for Einstein. He insists that we must consider ourselves admitted to a hospital ward where we have to help each other out in our sicknesses. Now, we would like to ask Einstein what are his ideals? Or to put it differently, what should a genius idealize? What values should a genius always have in mind when pursuing academic research? Einstein is clear on this point. He identifies three values that have pushed him and helped him in his intellectual pursuit. He says, the ideals which have lighted me on my way and time after time given me new courage to face life cheerfully have been truth, goodness, and beauty. So, truth, goodness, and beauty are the answer. But does not this seem like a common answer? What is so special about them, and where did Einstein find them? The most probable answer seems to be nature. Nature is true, beautiful, and essentially good. What is a physicist's task? He looks at nature and tries to explain the regularity and the beauty of the natural order. And nature never lies. Never has there been a scientist who has said that nature duped me, or suddenly nature has started to behave in an ugly way. If there is a problem in explanation, then it means that there is a problem with the human mind, or more precisely, the person who is doing the research. The closer the scientist comes to the natural law, the closer the rhythm of the mind catches up with the natural rhythm, and the more mysteries nature reveals. Once the correct respect due to nature is given, nature provides pearls of wisdom to this inquirer. Only if there was just natural law. Unfortunately, there is another side to the story. Humans need to have a political system that helps them organize their social life. And for that, we need the state. So let's see what Einstein has to say about it. The really valuable thing in the pageant of human life seems to me not the state, but the creative, sentient individual, the personality. It alone creates the noble and the sublime, while the herd as such remains dull in thought and dull in feeling. He is skeptical that our political order is far away from the natural order. This is the reason why he insists upon individuality in his writings. The further away we move from the vices of the political order, the more natural the man becomes. The more we herd together around each other, the more we outsource thinking. But here he seems to contradict himself. Did he not just say that we should be living for each other? He is not against political order. He thinks that there are so many evils that need to be purged from it, and one of them, the worst of all, is war. He says, war seems to me a mean, contemptible thing. I would rather be hacked in pieces than take part in such an abominable business. And yet, so high in spite of everything is my opinion of the human race that I believe this bogey would have disappeared long ago. Had the sound sense of the nations not been systematically corrupted by commercial and political interests acting through the schools and the press. War is a fruit that we reap from the seed we sow in the child's mind in the classroom. War is a spectacle that is glorified on the screens, beckoning those who are feeling left out of being part of this spectacle to pluck up the courage and leave the serenity of academic pursuits and family life aside and get involved in this abominable business. Einstein was a very strong critic of the education system through which he had to go through. He moved to Switzerland because he felt caged by the German system. The strict, rational, regimented approach of our education system does not allow any room for wonderment. The Greeks thought that the beginning of knowledge is wonderment. They were starstruck by the stars they saw in the night sky. They began inquiring and charting their ways and then found regularity in them. Astronomy as a scientific discipline started because of the dance of the night sky. Now it is no more like that, Einstein laments. Now it is strictly about following rules and thinking strictly along the lines of academic boot camps that we call universities. Einstein stresses upon the elements of mystery and wonderment in academic endeavors. He takes examples from religious mystics and says that science and religion for him have always been two sides of the same coin. Just as religion believes in the unknown, science also believes in the unknown. If there was nothing mysterious in the world, and everything was already known and clearly explained, then science would be non existent. The scientific project thrives on the mysterious. Therefore, any scientist who believes that everything is now known is a haughty devil who denies the God of mysteries his respect, and just like Satan, sticks his neck out in pride, which ultimately is his last act in the cycle of life, where the wheel turns mysteriously and wonderfully. I conclude with Einstein's conclusion. The fairest thing we can experience is the mysterious. It is the fundamental emotion which stands at the cradle of true art and true science. He who knows it not and can no longer wonder, no longer feel amazement, is as good as dead, a snuffed out candle. It was the experience of mystery, even if mixed with fear, that engendered religion, a knowledge of the existence of something we cannot penetrate, of the manifestation of the profoundest reason and the most radiant beauty, which are only accessible to our reason in their most elementary forms. It is this knowledge and this emotion that constitute the truly religious attitude. In this sense, and in this alone, I am a deeply religious man. Thank you, everyone.